Someone in Philadelphia called 911, saying a child fell out of a window. But when paramedics arrived, they found out it wasn't true. The child's godmother, Nadra Batson, explained that the child fell down the stairs. The child's mother, Ashley, gave Nadra custody of the boy, and I'll tell you why. Welcome to Off the Wall Crimes, Lost Souls Edition. Hit the subscribe button and bell to be notified for more off-the-wall crime stories. In March 2011, Ashley and her kids moved to a shelter. Later, Ashley and Nadra argued about who should have legal custody of Jaquinn. The last time Ashley talked to her son was in May 2011, and she only saw him again when he was hospitalized in 2013. Back in 2009, Nadra started dating Marcus King, who eventually became her boyfriend. Around that time, they briefly lived together. Marcus met Ashley, the mother of Jaquinn, who was Nadra's godson. For a while, Nadra and Marcus shared a home with Ashley and all of her kids. In January 2011, when Nadra and Marcus relocated to Chestnut Street, Jaquinn moved with them. At the age of 3, Jaquinn had a limited vocabulary of around 10 to 30 words and referred to everyone, including Marcus and Nadra, as a mom. During the time Ashley lived with them, Marcus admitted to occasionally using physical force on the child. He mentioned seeing Nadra almost daily, and she would respond harshly to Jaquinn touching things he wasn't supposed to. Jaquinn wasn't toilet trained when he moved in with Nadra, leading her to inflict punishment for failures using his toilet trainer. On several occasions, Marcus stepped in to stop what he considered excessive abuse. Marcus also claimed to observe burns on Jaquinn's feet and took measures to treat them with burned cream and gauze. Marcus said he saw burns on Jaquinn's feet, so he bought cream and bandages to help. They thought about going to the hospital, but they were scared they might get in trouble. This makes you wonder, did they do something wrong to the child? Then, a month or two later, Jaquinn had an accident and went to the bathroom on the floor instead of the toilet. Instead of understanding, Nadra used a blowtorch, a tool from Marcus's job, to burn Jaquinn. It's okay for kids to make mistakes, my own child does it. But using a blowtorch is just heartbreaking. Marcus tried to help by washing Jaquinn's burned skin with cold water, but it peeled off layers of skin. Marcus used burn cream and bandages to cover the wound. The night before Jaquinn went to the children's hospital in June 2011, he had trouble sleeping and kept getting out of bed. Nadra, instead of being kind, got out of bed and started shouting at him. This kind of behavior raises serious concerns about how they treated Jaquinn, making it even more tragic when he ended up at the hospital. Jaquinn had some injuries that were getting better, and he seemed to be missing bits of skin. There was a burn on his buttocks that looked about a week old, and it didn't seem like it was from something hot like an object or liquid that would leave clear marks. The nurse thought it was caused by a flame. Both of Jaquinn's feet had healed second-degree burns from hot liquid, with splash marks around the edges of the burns on his feet and lower legs. Strangely, only the tops of his feet were burned, not the bottoms. This is important because it doesn't match with stepping into a hot tub. Usually, the soles of the feet would also be burned. It goes against Nadra's claim that spilled hot liquid in the bathroom caused these injuries. Christine explained that Jaquinn had a pancreas injury with a cut after severe bruising, similar to a wound on his spleen. When Christine asked Nadra about Jaquinn's foot injuries, Nadra claimed he had been taken to another local hospital for treatment of these burns. Nadra also said Jaquinn burned his buttock by sitting on a hot blowtorch, not a lighter. She was manipulating the story, blaming others. Nadra told Christine that Jaquinn had thrown up green vomit the prior week, consistent with a serious pancreas injury. Natara mentioned Jaquinn's loss of appetite in the preceding weeks, which also matched a pancreatic injury. Dr. Aaron Rosen, an associate medical examiner, provided expert testimony on the autopsy. He conducted the forensic investigation on Jaquinn, reviewing hospital records from his time in Philadelphia until his death. Dr. Rosen observed several unshaped scars on the body during the forensic examination. Additionally, he studied X-ray results, revealing a potential healing fracture in Jaquinn's lower left arm. Dr. Rosen clarified that pancreatic injuries, like the one Jaquinn experienced, can harm other abdominal organs. Leakage of pancreatic fluids into the abdomen can lead to hypotension and cardiocirculatory impairment, depriving other organs of necessary oxygen. This results in the brain swelling with deoxygenated blood, explaining the brain swelling at the time of death. Dr. Rosen also mentioned linear pattern scarring on Jaquinn's legs and left arm, consistent with the use of a Combs metal tines found in their residence. Dr. Rosen didn't see signs of a burn from being in hot water like a bathtub. The burns on Jaquinn's feet looked more like someone poured hot liquid on them rather than him stepping into hot water. The healing fracture in his left arm seemed like he reached out to stop a fall. Internal organs, like the pancreas and liver, showed signs of damage, probably from the pancreas breaking and releasing harmful enzymes. These injuries suggest something really bad happened to the boy. Dr. Rosen concluded that the pancreas injury didn't come from falling down the stairs but was more like a focused impact, similar to hitting a bike handlebar or someone striking the child's belly with their hand or a hard object. He determined that the injuries in the middle of Jaquinn's abdomen were intentionally caused by someone else. Normally, the pancreas, located in the middle of the body, isn't injured in a specific and focused manner like this. Falls down the stairs usually result in injuries to the head and extremities, not the middle of the body. The doctor concluded that Jaquinn's cause of death was blunt impact trauma, and it was ruled as a homicide. In July 2011, Detective Ronald Sirianni checked how hot the water was in Natara's bathroom. He ran the sink's hot water for 15 to 20 seconds and found it was 132 degrees Fahrenheit, not causing burns when touched. The bathtub's hot water was 109 degrees Fahrenheit. They found items like lighters and a flexible neck torch. Police Captain James Clark said the little boy endured pain until he couldn't take it anymore and passed away from his injuries. The detective shared that it's one of the saddest cases he has faced in his 22 years on the police force. During the trial, Natara was seen talking quietly to her lawyer. The district attorney, Bridget Kern, explained how Nadira and her boyfriend, Marcus, were accused of hurting Jaquinn. Kern described the repeated attacks and burnings that led to Jaquinn falling into a coma and eventually passing away. Kern pointed out that Jaquinn was small and frail but showed bravery despite having limited words. He could feel pain, and unfortunately, he did. In the court proceedings, Natara turned down a plea offer that could have led to a 60-year sentence, opting instead to face the possibility of life imprisonment without parole. Marcus had previously admitted to third-degree murder and agreed to testify against Natara in exchange for a reduced sentence. The prosecutor, Bridget Kern, provided details about the extensive and early abuse inflicted on the child, involving various methods like fists, hot water, belts, shoes, and hairbrushes. Kern emphasized that the abuse impacted the child's entire body and even had Marcus stand up in court to highlight his size. In the courtroom, they talked a lot about how tall Marcus is, like really tall at 6 feet 7 inches. The person accusing them said, "Look at Marcus King, he's huge. Does it even make sense that he's the one who hurt the child so badly?" They're saying Marcus is the main person to blame, not Natara. Then Marcus's lawyer, Lee Mandel, strongly said it was crazy to think Nadra wanted to hurt Jaquinn when she willingly brought him into her home to take care of him. Lee Mandel asked the jury not to let their feelings for Jaquinn make them forget that there's not enough proof against Nadra. She is definitely guilty. In a recorded testimony, another neighbor came forward to support what the previous neighbors had stated. They mentioned sending text messages to the police and the landlord, describing how they heard sounds of whipping, yelling, and crying, sometimes all at once. The neighbor confirmed that the abuse occurred approximately 4 times a week and would disrupt their sleep in the middle of the night, often accompanied by loud music. During the trial, Marcus testified that he had minimal contact with Jaquinn, putting the responsibility on Nadra for everything. In December 2013, Nadra, who was 25, was sentenced to up to 57 years in prison for third-degree murder. Judge Barbara McDermott stated that 99 out of 100 Philadelphia citizens would agree that what Nadra did was pure evil. Marcus himself pled guilty to third-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. And given the horrific nature of this crime, longtime social workers prompted an investigation by the Department of Human Services. According to the report, the DHS failed to see if the child was okay. You see, the report alleges that timely visits could have uncovered the abuse that was occurring. And in the trial, there was a slight twist. You see, police officer Teresa Sanchez testified, and she struggled with the emotion as she told the jury that she wished that she saved Jaquinn because what's interesting is that she was out one day with her partner and she actually saw Nadra pushing Jaquinn in a stroller in a pharmacy. This was just days before the boy's death. And on that afternoon, Jaquinn's unkempt appearance caught her eye. His bushy hair was way too long for the warm weather, and he seemed almost overdressed in his jeans and long-sleeved shirt. He was wearing only one shoe and his left foot was covered in a sock and looked swollen. Teresa walked over to Nadra and asked her about a burn mark, and Nadra said, "Oh, he is only getting these things, it's nothing." You see, Teresa used her police mind and she could tell that something was not right. In court, Teresa said she radioed for a supervisor, but the supervisor was busy. She then called the DHS numerous times. Unfortunately, nobody answered. She left a message with the agency, then gave Nadra the address of a barber who would cut Jaquinn's hair for free. She also took Nadra's number and address so she could check up and make sure that Jaquinn got this haircut. Teresa said that she called Nadra about 9 times that same day to see if it had been done. But she didn't physically go to Chestnut Street. When Teresa returned to work 3 days later, she learned that the boy was in hospital brain dead, and she said that she has to live forever with this guilt. She said, "It made me feel that I could have done a whole lot more." But what she didn't know was that the DHS had already failed to help Jaquinn. Months before she saw him, according to city and state reports and interviews with Jaquinn's mother Ashley, the DHS had known months before that Jaquinn was missing and living somewhere with Nadra. But they didn't look for him or take the simple step of telling the police that maybe he was in danger. That was a violation of DHS policy and a missed opportunity. A DHS manager had learned that Jaquinn was unaccounted for while investigating a report of neglect made against Nadra. During that investigation, the biological mother, Ashley, told DHS that she had given the child to Jaquinn when she moved into a homeless shelter. Ashley said, "I needed help. I thought she was her friend, so I gave him to her." Ashley, according to the reports and interviews, told the DHS she was no longer in contact with Nadra after a dispute. She didn't know a specific address, she said, but knew that they lived on Chestnut Street. "This story makes me so angry, Jaquinn. I am so sorry we failed you, and while Nadra is still in jail, I think last year Marcos was up for parole, and from what I can see he's still in prison, so his parole would have been rejected, which is a good thing. The important lesson from this story is that everyone needs to be watchful and take action if they suspect a child is being mistreated. In this sad situation, many people, including the Department of Human Services, failed to protect Jaquinn Brewton from abuse. It shows how serious consequences can result from not paying attention and acting when there are signs that a child is in danger. The story teaches us that if you ever think a child is being hurt, it's crucial to tell the right authorities. Small actions, like a concerned neighbor sending messages to the police, can make a big difference in preventing harm. It also highlights the responsibility of people in charge, such as police officers and officials, to act quickly when they hear about possible dangers to children. Overall, this tragic event reminds us that everyone in society should prioritize the safety of children. We all have a duty to create an environment where people feel empowered to speak up against abuse, ensuring the well-being of the most vulnerable members of our communities. I express my deepest condolences after hearing the heartbreaking and tragic story of Jaquinn. The details of his unfortunate experience are incredibly distressing, and the extent of the abuse he suffered is truly disheartening. My thoughts and sympathies are with everyone affected by this devastating tragedy. This story emphasizes the crucial importance of staying vigilant and intervening promptly in suspected cases of child abuse. Jaquinn's premature death serves as a painful reminder of the consequences of overlooking distress signals in vulnerable individuals. Reflecting on this sorrowful incident highlights the urgent need for societal awareness and action to prevent such horrific situations in the future. I hope Jaquinn finds peace, and together, let us strive to ensure no child has to endure something like this again. Thanks for watching Off the Wall Crimes, Lost Souls Edition. I will see you in the next video.